This is Standard 1, Element 4, Teachers Advocate for Schools and Students. Under this particular part of Standard 1, we're talking about teachers being there to suggest and recommend things that would improve the learning for students, going above and beyond what you do in the classroom, and sometimes above and beyond what you do at the school level. And so I'd like to give you just a few suggestions of things that would serve as evidences, examples of things that teachers can do as real operational kinds of evidences for this element that has to do with advocacy. First of all, I think that it is important for teachers to learn the culture of the school in which they work, learn the school system's culture, and learn the politics within which you work. Now, that's huge. That might take you some time in and of itself. But until you really understand the culture within which you work, you're not really ready to advocate on certain levels. We can always advocate at the classroom, school level, and with parents. But if you're trying to go a little bit higher sometimes, it's not wise to do so until you've had time to really understand the culture of that school, the culture of your school system, and some of the politics that are at work. Getting to know the school board members and how they have voted on certain measures and policies, and which board members you should approach first before putting something out there to the entire board, like speaking at a board meeting. So being very, very careful in that regard is important. Next, I think it's important that you have developed your own voice first, and that you learn how to pick your battles. So those might be actually two different things. You're not really ready to advocate for someone else until you've gotten to that point where you feel confident with your own position on things. And that's what I mean by developing your voice, being sure that you have a position and that the stance that you're taking is grounded. You're not just saying and doing something for purposes that aren't real and substantial and defensible. So, and picking battles is very, very important. So I think sometimes we see things going on in the workplace and in our schools that, kind of infuriate us, but we're wise to not jump right in and try to fight that, but to try to find that piece of it that's affecting our work or that's affecting a student's learning, and letting that be our cause. You can't fix the whole thing. Rome wasn't built in a day. Learning students' rights is a huge piece of this too. And so just do a Google search and look at what constitutionally are the rights of students, so that when you call yourself an advocate and you're fighting for a student, you are doing it from a very substantial place. Learning protocols. And that's everything from knowing who is responsible for what in your building. You don't ever want to tread on someone's area. You've not even had a conversation with that person, and then you're going higher. That's disrespectful, and it's a very, very quick way to have people not look at you in a good light. And so you'll never be regarded as a good advocate for students if you work in that vein. And so it's always very, very wise to learn the protocols. Who's in charge of the PBIS team at your school, who's in charge of the school improvement team for student affairs and the like. Um, give Gain the support of your colleagues is the next note I've made here. I think when you know that you have the respect of your own colleagues, they've seen you at work, they've seen you in conferences and talking with students and talking with parents, and they have they hold you in high regard in that vein. I think that's very, very important too, and it builds your credibility as an advocate going forward. Be sure that you are always speaking with and not speaking to and at and for. Now, those prepositions make the difference there. Speaking with parents, speaking with the principal, speaking with students, that's advocacy. You're working with them. You're not doing this for them because you want to know that this is something they want too. You can't want it more than they want it. And so speaking with parents is how you want to do it when you put yourself in that role as an advocate for their child. Always have your evidences. It's very, very important that if you're going to step out there and try to make something happen to improve a child's ability to learn in the classroom or to improve their chances for participating on a team or whatever it is that you are serving as an advocate for, you will want to make sure that you have your evidences, your data. Let's just say you are fighting for a child's being able to try out for a team. Maybe they were overlooked or somehow they didn't um, qualify according to the requirements. And you see where maybe they should have had a special consideration for one reason or another. Well, then you want to have documentation to show why this child should be given some special consideration. And that data needs to be hard data. It can be empirical data, the numerical data, or it can be documentation from conferences and talks that you've had with parents. But in any case, having the evidence is important. So just to recap, I think good school advocates or teachers as advocates always learn the culture of their schools and their communities and school systems. They understand the politics. They develop their own voices first and have a sense of what they believe in and why. They learn to pick their battles. They learn student rights. They learn the proper protocols in which they should work. They have gained the support of their colleagues. They are sure to speak with people and not for, to, and at people. And finally, they have their evidences to support the advocacy that they're about. This concludes this brief tutorial on serving as an advocate in your role as teacher.